Hi, everyone. My name is Lydia Martinez, and I'm here today with Dave Dixon. Dave, I'm so delighted to be here and to have a conversation with you. Tell us a little bit about your business and your background, just to start very briefly.
Okay, well, I'm an architect. I started my own firm back in 1990 and specialized in medical for the most part, but also did a lot of retail, office buildings, some residential, and recently sold my business. I still work for the company. It's now called E4H, Environments for Health. And it's leading up to my eventual retirement, but I'm
Sure.
not quite there yet. So that's kind of my background. And I'm very excited about this project. We had a great meeting last night with the Planning Commission for the rezone, and it was approved. Every commissioner was in favor of the rezone. And so that sets us off on a good ground, to go to the city council and get it approved. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. I was also on that call and really excited to see that progress and the next step. So tell me a little bit about how you first became involved in the Other Side Village project.
Okay, well, a few years ago, I was involved with the Other Side Academy on some expansion they wanted to do downtown, and went through some planning efforts with them and got to know them a little bit. And so when this came up, they reached out to me and asked if I would be interested. And I said, I'd very much like to be interested. It's an exciting project. It's helping people that I'm kind of close to, really. I have a lot of homeless people around my office building.
Yeah.
I've talked to them for several years. And so I know their plight, and I know what the Other Side Academy is capable of doing. And so it's exciting to see them involved in this endeavor.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about just your background as an architect. What are some of the things that kind of prepared you to be involved in this type of project? Because it's very, very different than creating something, a traditional housing development or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I look over my career, and this is one of the most challenging projects I've had, and I can talk about that a little bit, but when I look at what maybe prepared me for this is I started out doing residential design, homes for developers and contractors, and design subdivisions. And then I went on to do more of retail designs and shopping centers and shopping malls. And then I did office space, and finally ended up specializing in healthcare. All of those elements are present in this project.
Yeah.
So it brings it all together.
And that really is the key. And what I think a lot of people don't know or understand about the village, this isn't just building a few homes.
Right.
It's so much more than that. Mm-hmm. It really, truly is building community spaces. There will be a place for medical. There will be so much more going on there than just a few small homes. So talk about some of those elements.
Well, we went and visited a few other villages across the country and saw some of these same elements, but no one really pulled it all together like the Other Side Academy is. They're mostly housing projects, and they have some community services, but they don't have the same program that they're envisioning here, where people have the opportunity to become self-sustaining and do more for themselves, and to really get interpersonal connections that they don't have out on the street. And those are the things that excite me about this village.
And that I think is the key differentiator, and the thing that a lot of people aren't understanding as we're kind of talking with the community about the village, that yes, there's that housing element, but there is a whole entire portion of the village that will be open to the public at large, that will be integrated into the community.
Right. So they not only have their medical services they need, dental services, social services, and all those kinds of assistance for the problems that they deal with, but there's all the other amenities that are also available to the community at large: the grocery store, the hair salon, the deli. We're talking about an auditorium space that could be used by the community, amphitheater space, and then the social enterprises where the homeless people have opportunities to work and to be self-sufficient. and to help support the community. So all those things, I think, add together to make this what it's going to be a great success.
Yeah, and that is the other key to this. That is a differentiator, is the social enterprises and a path towards making the village sustainable and able to be self-funded. So tell me what it is about this project for you as an architect that you find most exciting.
Well, architects are very competitive.
Really? I had no idea.
And to have a project that pulls us together where we can collaborate, and because they're really our colleagues, we really like them.
Yeah.
We just don't usually have this kind of an opportunity. And so it's been fun to reach out to, some of these. Most of them have come just as volunteers. Method Studio, Kevin Blaylock, Terracon, to help with the environmental, and we've got Legacy as a civil engineer. Denton House has done a lot of work on the master planning, and we have design workshop out of Denver helping with master planning. Just a lot of great people, great ideas that are starting to coalesce and really become something exciting.
Well, and even since I've started working on this project, we're seeing kind of generations of ideas come together that are becoming more fully fleshed as for what it's going to look like and how it's going to feel.
Right. The housing element is one of the most important. And, how do you group these people together so they can interact and socialize and yet still have the privacy? And we're spending a lot of time designing just the little neighborhood that encompasses maybe 25 people, and how they'll relate with each other, and then how they connect to the community at large. That's really going to be exciting. And I don't see that it's been done anywhere else the way we're proposing to do it. And, these ideas come from Tim Stay and Joseph Granny, who really have the handle on how this is all going to work. And they're great to work with.
Well, and I love that you're talking about collaboration among great architects, but also the fact that there is an actual master vision.
There is a master vision. This isn't an easy site. This is probably the most difficult site I've ever worked on. I've worked on projects that have bad soils or steep slopes, but this is the first one I've done on a landfill site. And, it has its challenges, but none of them are insurmountable. And really, we're finding the east side of the property is pretty clean and probably going to be easy to deal with. But, if you could go out and just have any piece of ground you want, this probably would be the configuration or the site that you would choose, but it is a very workable site. It's a little bit long and narrow, but we found that actually is going to help the design to have the street frontage out on Indiana, where we can really do these community services, provide a little more privacy for the residents when they get back in their own little world. So,
right. And privacy for the residents is a key differentiator. When you are homeless and on the street, privacy is non-existent.
Right.
Level.
Right. It's going to restore their self-worth, their dignity, and really treat them as a human being. They don't get on the street.
Yeah. So let's paint a picture for everyone of what the village will look like when it is completed.
Okay, well, the latest ideas, and things change as we go along. The latest ideas are that we kind of peel a road off from Indiana to get kind of separated from that commercial roadway into a little bit of a more private setting. And as that road pulls in, that there's a grand plaza that really greets people that are coming to visit the village and to use the services that are there. So the auditorium space, the amphitheater,
the public spaces,
all front onto this grand plaza. And then from there, there's I'd call it a main street that comes in. The residents that are living there will walk down this main street that has all of their services for medical, shopping. And, we're even talking about like a pet store, because a lot of them have pets and they'll need those kind of services. And then that leads into mostly pedestrian walkways that get back into their individual neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Neighborhoods will be groups of 25 homes, and then two neighborhoods together will share some common facilities. And they'll have a pavilion space, a commercial kitchen where they can have barbecues as a neighborhood, and laundry services, the things that they don't have necessarily in their homes. But anything we can do to help them interact and create opportunities for teamwork and collaboration,
Yeah.
that's what's going to help them on a social level.
Well, and it's the teamwork, it's the collaboration, and beyond just building physical buildings, really the goal of what we're trying to build here is community. And so those communal gathering spaces will be so important to facilitate that.
Right. And I saw some of that in Austin, Texas, when we were there, how the people like to be together, how they talk about their activities for the day, and they're very successful.
Yeah. One of the things that I was so impressed with when we were at Community First in Austin, Texas, was, that there was a little bit of a communal kitchen space, and a place for people to gather. But on top of that, you saw a lot of people doing what you would do in any neighborhood, like hanging out on the porch with the neighbors, having a conversation.
Right.
People seemed to know each other and knew what was going on in other people's lives that lived around them. And that was something that really, really impressed me and I thought was quite unique.
Yeah, I noticed when we visited there, we did the same thing. We all gathered at that little community space, talk about the village, and people comment, this is great. I wish my neighbor had something like this.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah.
I was so impressed by that. And yeah, I think you're right. Having those spaces is something that I would have loved in my own neighborhood.
Yeah.
As well. So talk to me a little bit about the actual homes. Because I think there's some concern. People are seeing the word small home out there. We're really calling them more cottage style homes because they're a fully fleshed home.
They are, yeah. Every home will have a front porch because that's an important element, and it gives them a place to interact with the community and yet still be part of their own space. And then inside of that, they'll all have a living room space where they can watch TV and sit on the couch. They'll have a full kitchen with all the full-size appliances. They'll have a private bathroom and a small bedroom. And so really all the basic necessities are there. And they'll be comfortable. They'll range, from around 300 square feet to 400 square feet. Some maybe a little bit smaller, just depending on their needs, but nice little homes.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that I had not considered when I first started learning about the village was taking care of things like accessibility.
Yeah, so a lot of these homes that we're looking at, we're thinking of doing them as slab on grade, which means they're right flush down at the ground. So that makes them accessible because some of them may be handicapped or may become handicapped as they get older. Yeah. So all the homes will be accessible in that regard. And some of them will be, totally wheelchair accessible with all the handicap facilities inside. One thing we noticed when we visited these other homes, it makes a big difference if you can have a lot of windows in a space, especially if they're on two separate walls. It really opens it up and it doesn't feel like a small space. And then if they have tall ceilings, it really makes them. So they're not really like a lot of the tiny homes you see where they're really trying to cram a lot in a very small space and put a loft bed up on top of the bathroom or that type of thing. They're really more open and comfortable than that. Yeah. 20% of the homes will probably be combined together in a twin home, which gives them a bigger footprint. And a few of them will also be a threeplex. And so that once they get to be those sizes, the nature of the village feels a lot like a regular residential neighborhood. And you don't really sense that they're tiny homes or cottages. But, some of the residents need that separation. And so we're going to have a variety of housing types and styles, and every neighborhood will have its own personality.
Yeah, I love that. So tell me, just kind of on a personal level, what it is that, why it is that you personally, Dave Dixon, have been drawn to this specific project. What is it that makes you so incredibly passionate about it?
Oh, probably a couple things. I mentioned that around our building, we have a lot of homeless people that have been there, especially the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And the building next door to us is a vacant building, has been for a couple of years now. It's a bank building. And so the homeless are there under the canopy, every night and out on the yard space. And they're pretty passive people. I'll leave late at night out of my building and I don't feel threatened in any way. It's not an unsafe condition. But I like to talk to them and find out, what their life was all about. How did they end up on the street?
Yeah.
Most of them, I'd say, are suffering from a chronic loss of family. They don't have, those interpersonal connections anymore. There's a lot of drug addiction and mental illness. And the sad thing is it goes untreated. And we think that if they're brought into this village setting where they have some of those basic needs taken care of and then get the healthcare needs they have, they can lead productive lives.
Yeah.
And we can really help them. And it's not going to help everyone. It's not meant to. But I really think there are 400 or 500 of them out there that could really be helped by being a part of this village. And those are the ones I want to really reach out to and help.
Absolutely. Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time and your vision and your expertise and all the hard work that you're pouring into the Other Side Village. And then for anybody else that has any questions, we have the website up, theothersidevillage.com, that has a lot of information, frequently asked questions about the village, responses to how we're managing things with the challenges around the specific parcel that we're looking at. There's a lot of great information there, and also on the social media pages on Facebook and Instagram. I really encourage you to go check those out so that you can capture the vision of what this amazing place is going to be. Thanks again, Dave Dixon. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. It's good.
Have a great day.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.